2015, an elite DFS Army Commando unit formed to bring high-level DFS strategy to the masses. Today, hated by DFS sharks and lineup sellers alike, they continue their quest to turn dope into DFS pros.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is your DFS Army Daily Dispatch, Bold Calls Edition for January 29, 2019. And I am your host today, BoomersDaddy. Joining me, as always, the one, the only, Mr. Bear here. What's up, Shy, my brother?
So cute. How are you?
Oh, sickness in the family is never a good thing. And when it carries on for multiple days and then gets worse before it gets better, usually it's accompanied by restless nights when you've got a little one. So, recovering.
I know what that's like. I think every parent has been there at some point. So I got you.
Yep. So we got it all taken care of. Spent a lot of the day yesterday at the doctor and getting that all situated. And now we're good to go. Got antibiotics flowing through. Wife's back at work. So getting back to a little bit of normality here.
Good. Happy to hear it. We can focus on some basketball now.
Oh, man. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Had to take a drink of water. Okay. So, a lot of news over the weekend. A lot of news yesterday. The biggest news, we're probably not going to really touch on it a lot, but I want to obviously let everybody know that we do know about it. We know that Anthony Davis has requested a trade. I am of the belief that he's not going anywhere this season. That the best leverage that the Pelicans have is to say we're not going to allow the Lakers and Rich Paul, who is Anthony Davis's agent, and Anthony Davis to dictate the market. I think that's the smartest thing that the Pelicans can do, because then they could kind of unload. They can unload, multiple assets, multiple contracts, and get more teams involved, I believe. And probably better prospects, if not a different combination of prospects. I know you're a Lakers fan, so you're a little closer to the situation. I'm not saying that he's not going to end up in a Lakers uniform. I'm just saying that the best situation for the Pelicans would probably be to wait until they can get the Celtics involved among some other teams.
I mean, I don't disagree. I just think the way that this is shaping up is that, AD and his agent are just doing everything they can to get him here. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And I think what we've seen with numerous free agents has been, or players wanting to be traded, is that we go out and we tell every team, well, if you trade for us, we're not signing. We're not extending. So you're basically giving up all your team and all your assets for a 1-year rental. And we see it a lot, and it gives players leverage to kind of somewhat dictate where they want to go. We saw Kawhi somewhat do that in Toronto, take a risk. We saw Carmelo Anthony do something very similar. We saw Jimmy Butler, kind of push his way out to some of the teams that he wanted. And it's just something we're seeing a lot of. And I think at this point right now, I think the Lakers are 100% all in, focused on what it takes to get him this week. Everything that I'm reading, everything that I'm seeing, all of the Lakers writers that I talk to and have relationships with are all telling me they're offering the entire farm to get him here.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that. And I saw an interesting article. I forgot where it was, but the best case scenario for AD would be that no matter where you're traded, to not sign an extension. To basically hit the free agent market, even if you do intend on re-signing with the Lakers, if they end up pulling this trade off, it's to not go in it because he can't sign unless he signs the extension with the Pelicans first and then gets traded. Once he gets traded to the Lakers, he can't sign an extension for 6 months, and then once he signs that, or once you're 6 months in from July 1st, you're in the middle of the season. And why not just wait another 6 months and be able to maximize that extra dollar amount that you can get? Now, that is a risk that multiple teams have to take, and there's ways around it. He can sign a 1-year extension with the Lakers and then test the free agent market the year after that. Kind of like what Durant has done with the Warriors. I don't foresee this being anything along the same lines as a Paul George scenario, where a surprise team comes out of the weeds and makes a move, and then they basically are consistent enough to say, or they're confident enough to say, we feel like we can woo you once you get here. And part of the reason for that is I think that, Anthony Davis is a little bit of a different type of person. He's been in a small market his whole career. And even though he's been the guy, he doesn't have the confidence, I would say, in a smaller market GM that hasn't had success to be able to put a winning team together. Now, with that said, I don't think he should have success in Magic or confidence in Magic Johnson to be able to put a winning team together yet either. But at least he does have LeBron there for the next couple years, and he can say, and make no mistake about it, this is not Anthony Davis's last big contract. He's gonna have 4 or 5. Dude. Yeah, he's gonna have 4 or 5 more big ones because the length of the contracts in the NBA, they're becoming shorter and shorter.
So before we dive into the slate, I just want to comment on that last part. So this is now the second season that Magic has taken off. Within 2 seasons, he went from a handful of atrocious, embarrassing contracts to ridding of all of those contracts, to drafting phenomenally in the draft, not just with the first rounders either, as we see with Josh Hart and Kyle Kuzma and even Ivica Zubac. He's gotten the best player in the world. He's got another slot for max cap room. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, this guy's never been a GM before, or not a GM, Kalinka is, but, president of basketball ops. And in 2 seasons, or we're not even halfway through the second season, they've been able to do all of that. Like, I'm now confident that, okay, this team knows what the hell they're doing. This guy knows what the hell he's doing. The last guys, I agree. They were horrible.
Can I throw in some shade on this one? Because I've got some counterpoints to this one. One, I don't credit Magic Johnson for getting rid of the bad contracts. I credit the financial backing or the financial guru of Rob Pelinka. Like, I think he's the mastermind behind getting rid of the bad contracts.
But who put him in place?
Well, I get that. In order to be successful, you have to surround yourself with successful.
But that's what I'm
people.
saying. If it didn't work, it would be Magic's fault. If it does work, it's Pelinka's credit, right? It's got to work.
Well, no. I'm not saying that I don't think that Magic doesn't deserve any credit, because obviously he does. But I think that the mastermind behind it was Pelinka.
That's fine.
I will say that getting LeBron, yeah, and that was all him. That was all Magic. That was pretty good. but it's not hard to sell LeBron on LA when that's where his family is. That's where his kids are going to school. I mean, that's not that.
The funny thing is, before he signed, all we were hearing was, why would he want to go to the Lakers? Why would he want to go play for them? Why, you don't have to be in a big market nowadays with social media to grow your brand. That's all we heard. Now that he's here, it's like, oh, well, it wasn't hard to sell him on LA. It's always what's comfortable given the situation. But the reality of it is, there was a lot of work before LeBron got here to prep him to be able to come here.
I'm not denying that.
With trading D'Angelo Russell to get rid of some of those.
Julius Randle.
Well, Randle wasn't really a getting rid of contract. Randle just
renounced his rights.
Yeah, he's like,
made him a UFA. I mean, you could have easily matched anything that was out there.
He didn't want to come. I mean, if I'm an owner of a team and the guy's like, I don't want to be here, I'm like, okay. I mean, listen, I would still recoup assets in some manner.
I think part of the Julius thing is the reason why he didn't want to be there was because he was always being thrown around in trade talks. I mean, these are young kids. They've got Twitter. Yeah. They watch these things.
I know.
And I mean, even no matter what line of work you're in, if you're being talked about and there's a replacement around, it's going to create some uncertainty no matter what. Absolutely. And so you want to be where you're wanted. And I think the big fail on Magic Johnson was making the decision, and it was a gamble, don't get me wrong, but making the decision of not going after and getting Paul George via trade when you just felt it was a slam dunk getting him in free agency. Not saying that it couldn't have worked the other way, but it didn't work, and you made the wrong decision on that one. So for all the good that we talk about the Lakers front office right now, the bad is there. I think another bad point would be you're letting LeBron dictate the conversation around your head coach and Luke Walton.
Well, make no mistake. Kind of assuming there. I mean, the reality of it is, let's say this Anthony Davis thing does happen, and I've been a fan of Luke from a basketball perspective. DFS, he drives me nuts, but in terms of what he's been able to do so far,
with the talent that he's had,
yes, I've been a fan. But you bring in Anthony Davis. Here's the thing that we tend to kind of brush under the rug. He's only had one full season as a head coach in the NBA. This is his second season. So to go from an assistant to a full head coach with two mega stars on the team, I don't know if he's of the experience level to take them to the championship.
Please
what?
You can't sell me that.
But
he freaking stepped in for Steve Kerr and ran that ship. Don't tell me that he doesn't know how to do it.
I didn't say he doesn't know how to do it. I said he's not experienced. Listen, I've watched him make plays. I've watched him write up plays.
Was Spoelstra?
But Spoelstra was one of those like brainchilds. You can't just say, "Oh, well, this guy was good, so therefore any younger guy can be."
No,
good.
I'm not saying that. But
you
said that he didn't have the experience, and I'm saying Spoelstra didn't have any experience, even as a coach. They pulled him out of the freaking video room. I love Luke Walton's basketball mind, and I think he's absolutely the right man for this job. If not,
so that's why I disagree. I don't think he's the basketball mind. I think he's the player mind. He's the guy that is. They use the term player coach. They use that term or a player's coach, not a player coach, but a player's coach. Like the guys behind him, they're the ones who should be drawing the plays and writing up the schemes. Obviously, he's heavily involved, yes, but on a mid game, I prefer Brian Shaw to be drawing up plays X's and O's.
Well, yeah. I mean, even Billy Donovan doesn't. He still consults with the rest of his staff. I mean, he's got Mo Cheeks on the staff. He's got all these great basketball minds. And like we said at the beginning, your success is based. I mean, let's just put it this way. Let's put it in DFS terms, and let's make it simple. I could not do by myself what we are doing now in the NBA DFS army. If we did not pluck you and Luce and the rest of these guys out of the ranks, the NBA DFS army product would not be as strong as it is currently today. Now, I'm not the only person behind this, but I had a major say in bringing people on board, and we've become a major team based on this, that we are now surrounded by successful people, and that's how we have more success. Luke Walton's the same thing. You have Brian Shaw, who, in my opinion, should be a head coach.
Yeah.
He is.
He will be too.
Again, yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I believe that head coaches in this league are, if you're there for longer than 5 years, you've had a great run. Oh, yeah. Like, we're not going to see guys like Pop very long. We're not going to, Billy Donovan and Spo are two of the longest tenure head coaches outside of like Pop, and
which is crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, because Billy Donovan's been there for what, 5 years now?
Yeah.
Do you? And it's
Scott Brooks been in there for a while too, hasn't he?
Yeah, Scott Brooks. Like, I think this is our third or fourth head coach. We had PJ Carlesimo there for a little while at the beginning, and then I think Scott Brooks came in and took over, and Scott Brooks had never been a head coach before. But he was a pretty good point guard in this league at one point for the Magic. Billy Donovan's a Hall of Fame basketball coach, 20 years at Florida and back-to-back national titles. And, Luke Walton, I feel he's growing up on the job, obviously. But I feel if you think that he can't do it, I think you're selling him short.
I didn't say he can't do it. I just say he's not the right one at this moment.
You're not winning a title with or without AD this year, anyways. Next year, maybe, but this year, I seriously highly doubt it, because you're going to have to gut this team and then relearn how to play with each other if you guys get AD this year. Like, you're gonna be getting rid of expiring contracts. You're gonna be taking on some expiring contracts, and you're gonna be getting rid of guys who have played all season with LeBron. Your core is going to be gone to get a top 5 player in the world, which is absolutely the right move.
Right.
What you hope out of this year is to not only make the playoffs, which I think as soon as LeBron gets back, you guys will, and you guys will be fine, but to go as far in the playoffs as you possibly can, get the experience, learn, and then assemble the supporting cast around those two going into next year, and that's where you're going to compete for your titles. I don't know if I don't know if anybody has the firepower to beat Golden State for 7 games. But I know you guys don't have the defensive capabilities to hang with Golden State for 7 games.
No, I don't think so. Not
presently constructed, or even if you guys get rid of all your guys.
But we don't know. So the bottom line is we don't know who's coming, who's going.
Right.
So once we don't even know if anyone's coming or going. But I would think if and when a trade does occur, then we can kind of look at that and assess. But I almost want to tell the members that I almost didn't join here in the beginning. But that's a story over a beer, maybe for those of you that come to the live final here in SoCal that we'll talk about. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting either way. And I think the The goal here is to bring in talent. That's and not just young talent, but star talent.
Championship level talent.
That's always been the mantra of the team. That's always been certainly Magic Johnson's mantra. When Magic was as a player, Dr. Buss always kind of showed him that way. So, and that's all he really knows. And Genie Buss told him the same. Hey, go do it. So, go bring it, whatever it takes. Go bring him.
Yeah, the level of confidence that Genie Buss has showed in not only Luke Walton, but Magic Johnson is great. Now, here's the question. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this roster for the Pelicans. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First off, did you know that Drew Holiday is making more than Anthony Davis?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On a yearly salary basis, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Solomon Hill's got an expiring contract. I believe Julius Randle has a player option for next year. You guys aren't taking him anyways. Elfrid Payton's, I think, on a 1 or 2 year deal. I'm not quite sure about that. But you guys have, like, Jahlil Okafor's on a pillow deal. I think, there's some... The Solomon Hill contract is the one I'm looking at. If you guys take Anthony Davis, you're taking Solomon Hill. Like, if I'm the Pelicans, he's in the deal. Like, because if you want him now, you're going to have to take some of these expiring contracts. So,
yeah, I mean, they also have been talking about getting rid of Etuan Moore, and they want to get rid of Nicholas Mirotic, and I mean, there's all kind. I mean, if they're going to move him, they're going to want to dump all of these contracts.
Yeah, well, Drew Holiday is probably their biggest asset.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact that he's on a 5-year deal, and it's for what he brings to the table, it's actually a pretty affordable deal. But everybody else, Etuan Moore, Solomon Hill, Julius Randle, Elfrid Payton, all these guys, as soon as they unload AD, they're all available.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we spent about 20 minutes, about 10 minutes too long, or longer than what I thought we were going to on this. But it's good to talk basketball instead of just from a fantasy perspective. But let's get going, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we got point guards today. Russell Westbrook. I've watched this team a lot, obviously, being my hometown team, and I've watched them against the Magic a lot. The history versus the Magic, man, is absolutely unreal. Okay. If you go back to last season, and I'm just talking about the games in general.
Yeah.
In Orlando, 108 to 121. Orlando beat us. Okay. In Oklahoma City, they came in February.
Yeah, so that game I wanted to ask you about. Because that game, it looks like Russ put up a 34.9 Fanduel.
The one in February?
The one in February.
Oops. Yeah, he shot 3 of 12 from the field.
Yeah.
Played 35 minutes. I honestly think it was like he didn't have to do as much. Paul George kind of took over. Steven Adams had a good game. Carmelo Anthony had probably one of his better games of the season.
But prior to that, I mean, 65, 91, 77, 71, 73.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
I mean, these go way back, but geez, like he's been torching them.
Yeah, I don't know why, but we usually typically struggle, especially in Orlando, against the Magic. I mean, you're sitting there looking. We lost to them at home back in 2017, 117 to 119, and then we turned around and looking here, Orlando. We went there in February or March, and we lost an OT 114 to 106. I mean, this is one of those those games that we don't blow these guys out, no matter how bad they have been.
Right.
You know, you would be a fool to kind of just discount Russell Westbrook at his 11.9 price tag, considering the matchup. Now, we're not facing Elfrid Payton and the defenseless Magic anymore. But
and just to add to that, it's a 4.5 point spread.
Yeah, it's not a blowout type spread at all. We have won 5 in a row. It's kind of one of those things that we're sitting here looking at it, and we've got this nice little, it's a 3-game road trip. Just came off of a very, very impressive high win against the Bucks. That was something that they talked about. It was a measuring stick. We're on this nice little 4-game winning streak, but the most the impressive wins on that were just Philly and Portland. But in all aspects, they're a rung below us record wise.
Yeah.
So we need to come out and absolutely just take it to the Bucks. And they did. They were up by, I think it was 22 at one point. Now, we always let people back in. But I think there might be a little bit of a letdown tonight. I don't expect this game at all to end up getting out of hand. No matter how bad it gets out of hand in the first half.
What do you mean by letdown? In what sense?
I think it's going to be a close game the final minute of the game. I think it's going to be within one possession in the final 60 to 90 seconds of the game.
Okay, so letdown for the team, but specifically to Russell Westbrook and his DFS impact, that's not what you meant, correct?
No.
Gotcha.
No, that's not what I meant. A letdown overall for the team. I don't think they're going to be quite as sharp defensively. And there's a lot of pieces in this game I'm actually looking at tonight.
Yeah, so some of my early builds are similar. Like right now, I basically have 2 or 3 different directions for my lineups, and it's basically, it boils down to Westbrook or not. I mean, because there's something to be said about a balanced lineup for sure, but there's always, and depending on what site you're on, something to be said about stars and scrubs. But yeah, I mean, it's going to matter. I really want to know what's going on with Steven Adams. Hopefully we'll find out, and that's the one of the 3 first games. So the first 3 games, Bucks, Pistons, Wizards, Cavs, Thunder, Magic are first. So since those are the first 3, we'll know about Steven Adams. If he's not, I don't give a shit about Embiid. I'm just going to lock in that ridiculous 10x, 12x upside for Noel and go get my, Philly exposure elsewhere. We'll talk about that Philly game here soon.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it. Actually, we'll talk about it right now. So Ben Simmons is the next guy up on the list here for me, going against the Lakers.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to turn that down.
It is, but what scares me is the fact that Jimmy Butler's probable.
Doesn't scare me.
It scares me in a sense that and see, this is the trickle down effect that AD has on the rest of the NBA. A lot of the talk coming out of Philly is now, why don't you go give up Ben Simmons to go get AD and then use the money that you were going to use to sign Jimmy Butler to go sign a point guard? there's I don't know if there's a lot of truth to that. Obviously, that's something that
it's
can't
just talk.
answer.
It's just talk.
I
mean, I can tell you for a fact, literally every single team and every one of their beat writers has an article, has a piece up right now. Chicago Bulls.
Well, he's from there, so I can see that.
Chicago Bulls. Can AD land the Bulls land Anthony Davis? No, they're not going to land Anthony Davis. Can the Phoenix Suns land Anthony Davis? Click here. No. Can the Orlando Magic trade Vucevic and get? No. And you're going to see literally every single team across the board, because it's a topic that is now obviously very, very hot, and they're going to bring a lot of traffic, a lot of clickbait. That's the nature of that business. You need to get clicks. And Anthony Davis is a really big name. So regarding Simmons, though, a couple things. First of all, in my opinion, Jimmy Butler opens up the game more for Ben Simmons. And I've now seen this over the last stretch of, 12 games, where when Butler's not there, teams are collapsing on Simmons and they're not letting him operate.
You know why, though? Well, obviously, you know why. But we need to explain this to the rest of the members. Yes, the usage rate spikes with Jimmy Butler off the court. Okay, whenever you take a ball dominant guard off the court, the other ball dominant guard is going to receive the usage. When Paul George or Russell Westbrook are off the court, the other one has a usage spike. It's the usage has to go somewhere. Okay? But like you said, and this is something that we've been trying to stress to everybody in the Army all year long. Usage is not the end-all be-all. It is a number to dictate how often the ball is in that player's hands. Okay? But it's not the best thing in the world to have a 58% usage rate when Jimmy Butler's off the court. You just can't, and I'm not saying that that's what his usage rate is. I have no idea. But you just can't quantify what a guy like Jimmy Butler, who can shoot the three and create for himself and others off the dribble, does for the floor spacing. And that's the biggest thing that Bear's getting at, is the spacing opens up everything, because he's another guy along with JJ Redick that you have to account for. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm just listening. And I'm also looking at some of the news that just popped up.
Yeah, I just saw that too.
Kuzma is going to be out, and then Josh Hart's going to play. But yeah, I mean, that's the point here for me, is that also, like, Simmons is not, his game is not scoring either. His game is facilitating. His game is getting to the rim. He also is a very good rebounder. And so with Butler out there, he's got another, like we mentioned, right? Spaces the floor. Okay, LeBron's officially out, which we expected. It opens the floor, and then it also gives him another really strong athlete to pass to. And this game is going to be up and down. This game is going to have a lot of breaks. And I frankly don't think, I think by the fourth quarter, I don't think the game's going to be very close, because, like, the centerpiece of all of these trade talks really is LA. That's where everyone's talking about. And so you've got these young guys that are like, shoulders down, man, they want to trade me, blah, blah, blah. And on top of it, now you've got a team without LeBron and without Kyle Kuzma, their number one, number two offensive players. It kind of scares me a little bit. I know everybody's going to want to have exposure to the game, and I'll have some, maybe like a JJ Redick or something like that, but how close do I think this game is really going to be? I don't know.
Well, I'm not in the and I had to reaffirm myself, because I would have won a Q the other night if I hadn't predicted a freaking blowout.
Yeah, we both got screwed on that night.
Yeah, but like, I'm not in the business of predicting blowouts, and I get the fact that the game can get out of hand. and maybe you don't predict a blowout, but you prepare for it. Like, you add guys into your player pools that maybe wouldn't have been, or maybe you don't go quite as heavy as you would have been if Kuzma was in. But if you want to simplify it, playing a good play is playing a good play. And one of the biggest things is like, I don't know, like, one of the reasons why I'm not all in on Russell Westbrook is because of Ben Simmons, is because of Rajon Rondo. Like, I love both of these guys tonight in this game. And yes, I know Rondo's playing banged up but like, the dude is like, between Zubac, Ingram, or Rondo, like, I think there's and the wild card here is Josh Hart, in my opinion. Like, if Josh Hart, we know he's going to take the threes. If he's knocking down the threes, I don't think that the game gets out of hand until maybe later in the fourth quarter.
Well, you've also got KCP, who's a very similar wild card, right? So, like, when his shots are falling, he's going to get the run.
Yeah, one of these two's got to be knocking down shots for it to stay competitive. Yeah, so maybe if you're playing, and this is why we talk so much about game theory when building your rosters. If you're going to play guys like Reddick, guys like Butler, Simmons, make sure you bring it back with somebody. Like, make sure you bring it back with a Rondo and a KCP, or a Rondo and a Hart, or a Zubac and a Ingram, or something like that. Because the only way that you're going to get the max out of, like, Simmons and Butler and Embiid is if you have Lakers pushing them as well. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. I got the head nod, so I'm good to go. Do you have any interest in Chris Paul? He's got a minutes limit of 30, but he's 7,500 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I do. I've been thinking about it all morning.
Oh, God.
I've been thinking about it all morning. I've been thinking about how do I, like, in what situations do I implement Chris Paul? And
if you fade Harden?
Oh, you can't play them both, I don't believe.
Yeah.
Because if he starts having himself a game, then you know how it goes. Joel Embiid didn't participate in shoot around the sand because of an upset stomach. He's expected to play tonight.
That's why I said, oh, God, about
everyone else. Oh, I thought you meant about Paul. I'm like, oh, not that bad.
No. Like, we're on the same page with Chris Paul.
Okay. I think in tournaments, I'm going to be taking a few shots with him. And kind of maybe even like a PJ Tucker, or someone. I think Fareed has just been priced up. I mean, it's funny because we were saying early on that Kenneth Fareed is going to be an 8K player here soon, and he's
7,400.
Pretty damn close.
Yeah, I think Lou said that in our private DM. He's an 8K player with him getting the minutes that he's getting. And I can't say that I disagree. Until he's 8K, he's in play for me, especially in tournaments, because I think the sticker shock for a lot of people is going to be, I can't play Fareed at 7,400 on FanDuel. And my response would be, why not? He's getting 30-plus minutes. He's Montrezl Harrell before Montrezl Harrell. Like, this is what we used to see night in and night out in Denver. And he's finally getting the minutes again.
And the matchup couldn't be better.
Oh my God. I mean, especially now with Julius Randle out.
Like, I want to play Fareed and Paul together.
Oh yeah.
That kind of
thing.
The
only thing I'm worried about is, like, I didn't watch the game the other night, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch it afterwards.
Which one?
The Houston game. I want to know how they work together on the pick and roll, like because a lot of you can tell that Chris Paul, James Harden, and Clint Capella have worked hard on the timing of that pick and roll with the lob and everything like that in multiple different assets. And they haven't had that timing with Fareed. Now, they're all skilled enough. They're veterans. They know they can make it work, but that pick and roll with Capella is a thing of beauty. And it's just like with Steven Adams and Russell Westbrook or Paul George. It's a thing of beauty. And there's not very many guys that can come in and make it look that good real quick. And I don't know if Fareed actually did. But that's a major part of their offense too. Because off of that pick, that creates space for Harden and Paul. They can kick out. They can drive. Paul can pull up for that 15-foot jumper. You can dish it, and then Fareed can kick out. There's so many different ways. That's the basis of the D'Antoni offense. And I want to know how they're working together, all three on the court at the same time.
Yeah, and even that one game, like there just hasn't been enough sample size for us to know really how it's going to be. Certainly that one game will show us, but, Chris Paul is like the master of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, and James Harden ain't too bad himself. So, but with Harden, it's more because the way that defenses collapse. Can you just continue? I'll be right back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we're gonna, really, really look at and keep going with. This isn't a VIP freebie Friday, so we're gonna leave a couple plays for the VIP guys. They're more the mid-range to value guys that I know that both me and Bear have interest in. So we're going to move on to shooting guards here real quick. Obviously, James Harden, he's in play. He's 13-9. I don't think you compare him up with Chris Paul. I do think you compare him up with Fareed, but you're not wanting to put Paul and Harden in the same lineup, but you can pair them with Fareed. I also have a little bit of interest in Eric Gordon from this game. And other than that, I'm not touching Bradley Beal at 10-1 on FanDuel.
That's a lot.
I would much rather play him, and I will be playing him a lot on DraftKings. He's only 92, so I get a $900 discount over there.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell, I think he's in a really good bounce back spot tonight. After last night against Chicago, he's going to be receiving a lot of Chris Dunn defense, though, so be careful. Now, Chris Dunn is not Marcus Smart when it comes to defense.
Not many players are.
Yeah, exactly. Not many players are, but he's still very good. And I think after last night, he's gonna take a little bit of a hit. Yeah. I don't know who from the Pelicans I want yet, but if I'm playing guys like Paul and Fareed or Harden and Fareed, I have to bring it back with somebody from the Pelicans, and I'm not sure who that is yet.
Yeah, I mean, your most popular is certainly going to be I think it's going to be Jrue Holiday.
Oh, really?
We've seen what he's done, right? He's been a monster.
Yeah.
In an upper tempo game.
But wouldn't you rather play D'Angelo or Jimmy Butler?
Not as much Butler. Just because, again, I don't see myself getting a 55. It's certainly possible, but just with the team fully healthy, it just doesn't happen too often. Russell has a better chance of hitting that. Harden has a better chance of hitting that. Devin Booker has a better chance of hitting that. Chris Middleton has a better chance of hitting that. So for me, if I'm going to play shooting guard, it's not going to be Butler.
Oh, okay. I wonder if he's going to be low owned.
Who?
Butler, out of that late game.
Most likely.
Because he's missed a couple games. I might have to look there. Actor, no. Vooch does not have a floor of 40 to 50 night, even against a hobbled Steven Adams. Sorry. Maybe 40 to 45, but not 45 to 50. So
I would call it a 40.
Yeah, I would say it's closer to 40 than it is to 45 or 50. Now, if Steven Adams is out, then obviously that's a completely different situation, scenario that we'll go over when and if that happens. So,
then you go play Noel and don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, but I think you can, like on DraftKings, you can attack both sides.
Yep.
So, and yes, answer, Jimmy Butler is 6,900 on DK, and that's why I brought him up. Like, he's just, I don't think he's going to be low owned over there. I think he's going to be pretty chalky over there.
Over there, he should be.
Yeah. So, right. Any interest in? We can't play Zach or Devin Booker against the Spurs, can we?
So are we back? Are we not on point guards anymore?
No. I said we were going to save all the value and mid range guys for our VIPs.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we kind of got to move it along. We spent too much time talking about AD.
Yeah, I love Booker versus Spurs. I don't like. I'm fucking playing Booker. I love Booker. Finally, the Spurs are certainly not the same. So they're not the same in two ways. First of all, they're not the same as your mom and dad Spurs, right? In terms of they're not the defensive juggernaut that they are every year. And they're also not the same as far as how bad they were to start the year. Like, they've improved from that as well. So there's two parts to that, but still, I mean, I'm playing Rashawn Holmes. So if I'm playing Rashawn Holmes, I want to pair him with Booker, and I want to play LaMarcus Aldridge. Like, and I want Derek White. Like, those are the guys that I want from this game. DeRozan's already been ruled out, so we don't have to worry about DeRozan. And we've seen both Rudy Gay and LaMarcus Aldridge and Derek White numbers fly high when DeRozan's out. And so I want to take advantage of that.
Can I play devil's advocate here?
Mm-hmm.
The opponent effective shooting or field goal percentage for the San Antonio Spurs at home is like a 50. It's about league average. And I think I'll have to pull the exact numbers. Their defensive efficiency rating without DeMar DeRozan on the court is actually like, I think 3 points higher. Now, with that said, the Spurs over the last three, like, this is where I'm with you on Booker. Okay, I don't typically like. I think he's going to be low on because the stigma of the Spurs at home is very, very it's real. But over the last 3 games,
they've been bleeding, bro.
38.5% from beyond the arc. Like, on the slate, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's below guys like Phoenix, Cleveland, New Orleans, and Orlando. Like, they're ahead of guys like Oklahoma City, the Lakers, Philly, Washington, Detroit, Houston, Milwaukee. Like, their 3-point percentage they've been getting 8 alive lately. I'm 100% with you on Booker, which makes my interest in Drew Holiday at 9,500 a lot harder to swallow on FanDuel.
Sure. I can see that.
Now, where the price difference is like closer, the price gap is closer, only $500 on DK, where Booker's 81 and then Drew's 86. There, it's more of a question. I'll still have a lot of both, but I'm not going to have, like, I don't know if I can play Drew Holiday on FanDuel outside of one or two lineups, but there's just too much at the mid range that I want to attack to be able to spend 9,500 on Holiday.
I'm with you on that.
So, I mean, it might even be a complete fade night for Harden on FanDuel for me, just because I love the mid range at this position so much.
Like, tournament strategy, I'm playing Simmons and Westbrook as an example. And so that kind of gives you an understanding of, I'm obviously not playing Harden with those two guys.
Right.
And this is all, a lot to me will be, and now Michael Beasley starting.
Over Josh Hart?
Over Josh Hart.
Well, that's going to be fun.
Now I'm going to take a look at my lineups.
All right, we're going to have to look into that.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of... I'll have to go back and look, but I think the Bucks, and we'll have to talk to Luce about this. I think the Bucks versus the Pistons is kind of a money trap. It kind of has been all season. I don't know why. At least from the Bucks side, let me put it that way. From the Milwaukee side, I think they're going to win. I think they're going to all have okay games, but I don't think that there's a discount enough to where you can get a lot of profit potential compared to the rest of the slate tonight.
I'm with you on that.
Okay. I've got a Boomer special for you.
Ooh, I'm waiting.
Are you ready for this?
I'm waiting.
In that same game, Mr. Luke Kennard.
Yeah, so here's my problem.
Oh, God.
There are two players pretty much in the same range that I have to make a decision on. One of them is Luke Kennard. The other one is Wayne Selden.
Wait, Wayne Selden?
Yes.
Ooh.
Wayne Selden started last game. He's starting again today. He's projected for 33 minutes playing Brooklyn.
Yeah, but isn't he going to have he's going to have DeMar Carroll all over?
He's probably going to have...
He's playing the three, isn't he?
Kind of. That's the thing. They got three guards there, so it's not. There's nothing set. It's all switches and whatnot. But I mean, certainly last game, obviously he played Cleveland, so that was a much easier situation for him than it will be here. But still, I mean, Brooklyn is not exactly a defensive juggernaut either. They've certainly improved their defense. Over the last three specifically, they're like above tops in the above league average. So that's fine. But you're talking about a guy that is $3,800 playing 33 minutes as a starter in a pretty nice paced game that Brooklyn's only favored by 7 to win. So I don't see. I mean, that Detroit-Milwaukee, as much as I like it, Milwaukee's been beating the crap out of everybody. And Detroit's not
except for the Thunder.
Well, yeah. But.
No, I get what you're saying. Here's my problem with Selden is this Brooklyn defense is not something that it hasn't been that profitable to pick on from a individual standpoint.
Right.
I think if I'm apt to do it, I think I'm going to do it with a cheap guy, like you said. Guys like Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, those guys are out of the question for me. Because if they bust, especially on FanDuel, if they bust, I want them to be able to compete for the drop score.
Makes sense.
And Answer, I know what you're saying, and normally I would agree with you. And he said, Luke could have Middleton on him, so it's not like it's a primo matchup. Chris Middleton has been getting lit up on the perimeter this year. Absolutely lit up on the perimeter. Like, shooting guards versus Milwaukee has become a thing within the Army because of his lack to switch quick enough and create the advantage that he has with his length. Are there games where he comes to play? Yes, but I mean, come on, just look at Terrence Ferguson the other night. I mean, he's got, 7 inches on Terrence Ferguson? And he still couldn't guard him for Terrence Ferguson's point of view. And I understand it's a completely different scheme and everything like that.
Well, not just that. I don't think he was guarding Ferguson.
He was on Ferguson.
I thought it was Brogdon who was on Ferguson.
You know what? It could have been. And maybe that's what it is. I will take that back. You're right.
Yeah.
Because
Middleton does play the 3.
And they've got Giannis at the 4 and Brook at the 5.
Yeah.
With Brogdon at the 2 and Bledsoe at the 1. So, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
And Brogdon's been getting lit up all year.
Brogdon has been getting lit up all year. So let's go through the Pistons starting lineup here. You've got, obviously, Alien Man. Dude, he's so crazy. You got Alien Man. Then you're going to have Luke Kennard starting at the 2. The question is, are they going to start Bruce Brown at the 3, or are they going to start Stanley Johnson?
I don't think Johnson's going to play. It's going to be Brown and Kennard, but Stanley's still going to get his 30 minutes, man, tonight. We've got...
okay, so against Dallas, this is who they started. And you're right. Well, they actually start Reggie Bullock. It was Reggie.
But my point is Bullock is not going to play.
I know, but that's why I was just making that notation because it's not going to be the exact same as last game, and they're probably just going to slide Kennard in for Bullock. But they start Reggie, Bullock, Bruce Brown, obviously Blake and Drummond. And if you take Bullock out of that and you put in Kennard, that's still going to... Is that going to slide Bruce Brown to the 3, or is it going to slide Kennard to the 3?
No, it's going to be Brown.
Okay.
I mean, Brown's going to have to defend Middleton. Kennard can't even touch him. So it's going to be Kennard and Brogdon going at it. So that's why I like Kennard. But,
okay. So I did read that right, just in my own messed up kind of way.
Yeah. So here's what we have to look at. Do we want to play Kennard versus Malcolm Brogdon, or do we want to play Wayne Selden versus Rodion Kurucs? That's what you're looking at here for cheapy shooting guard value plays. I mean, I also look at it this way. Kennard is significantly more needed in this starting lineup to score than Selden is with Portis, Markkanen, Levine, and Dunn.
Yeah.
So I just talked myself onto going off of Selden to Kennard. But we do have Selden projected to play 5 more minutes, which is a lot in NBA terms, in DFS terms, than Kennard is. Because we could see something where, Coach pulls Kennard and brings in Stanley and lets Stanley run for 35 minutes, and he gets hot. I mean, it'll probably be Brown who sits. Kennard will still stay out there, but just kind of throwing things that could happen out there, I guess.
Okay, so Luke Kennard, this is earlier in the season. Back in December, these two played each other in Detroit. Kennard did start. It was Reggie, Kennard, Bullock, Drummond, and Blake. And he played 23 minutes, went 1 for 7 from the field. Like, he had a bad shooting night. And besides Reggie Bullock, they all kind of had bad shooting nights. Bullock went 9 for 14 from the field. Stanley Johnson went 8 for 14 from the field.
Yeah, and I think Stanley is your de facto values forward.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play him on any site tonight. With Bullock, doubtful.
All right, let's go on to small forward here. We're really behind.
Yeah.
So
I'm not paying up for Giannis.
No. My question to you is Paul George at 11-1 on FanDuel.
See, now we're at a point where we have to decide George or Westbrook, because before, George was like in the 9s and even in low 10s. So then you're like, okay, you could technically fit them both in.
If you had the value, yes.
and get, all of the Thunder's points. But now you can't. I mean, you can, but you got to really nail all of your value, and you don't have much to work with. So it's Paul George it's Russell Westbrook for me between the two. And you're going to think I'm crazy, and as a Thunder fan, even more so. But the main reason is I'm looking, at the matchups for both, and I see Westbrook is going to have a combination of DJ Augustine and Jeremy Grant, because Briscoe is out today. And Paul George is going to have lengthy, athletic Jonathan Isaac and Wes Iwundu, who's also pretty much the same body type on him. And look, George is still going to score. George is still going to get his points. He's still going to do whatever he does. But because I have to choose one or the other based on now how they're both priced, or at least how George is priced, Westbrook's always been priced up. I'm gonna have to go Westbrook.
Yeah, I think the profit potential on FanDuel for Paul George is kind of diminishing in certain matchups.
Yeah,
not saying like this isn't a bad matchup, or it's not. It's still a really good matchup, but like you said, the profit potential there. Now on DraftKings, it's a completely different story. It's 9-8. It's perfectly in play over there still. So, I hate this position today, man. Like, I'm looking at guys like Darius Miller. I'm even thinking about playing JJ Redick as a small forward.
So am I.
Which I never thought I'd do. I'm thinking backing it up with a Solomon Hill or a Stanley Johnson. Like, Stanley Johnson is almost a complete and utter total lock for me. Like, min price on FanDuel.
Shit. He used the word lock, ladies and gentlemen.
He's min price going to play 25 minutes.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying I
have the ability to, if he comes out and lays a dud, guess what? He's my drop score. Then again, I have to accompany this. Nobody thought that Kevin Durant would be a lot of people's drop scores last night. But like, I'm looking between Wilson Chandler, Stanley Johnson, Solomon Hill as my drop at this position. Like, I'm literally thinking about double punting this position so much because I hate it tonight. Like, it sucks. And that's not a word I use often. I use that word less than I use the word lock.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think I think Stanton. So for the FanDuel guys, where you only have two small forwards, Stanley Johnson's going to be your one. So now you're at a point where who else do you play? For me at the moment, it's Redick. Just because I'm not going to play Embiid.
And we never thought we would play Redick at this position. When they made that position switch, I never thought that he would be in the conversation.
Yeah.
So, answer goes, Reggie Jackson looks like the crackhead Iris a few days ago. Oh, sweet Jesus. All right, let's move on to power forward because there's not a lot to talk about at that other position. We'll call that the unspeakable position today.
Yeah.
LaMarcus Aldridge without DeMar DeRozan. I mean, there's not a lot to talk about there, especially against Phoenix. I mean, don't overthink it. I'm going to be pairing him up with a lot of Kenneth Faried and a lot of Rashawn Holmes tonight.
Yeah, for me, it's more Holmes.
Well, yeah, but like if I have like Chris Paul in some lineups, I want Faried in there as well.
Sure.
And I'll have Faried in some lineups that's just Faried. Because he does so much. He's, like I said, he's Montrezl Harrell before Montrezl Harrell was, they don't call him the Manimal for a reason or for no reason. So, but it's one of those things. Aaron Gordon, I'm kind of off today. Some people might call me Homer, but don't ask me why. I don't. I don't like rostering Aaron Gordon. He never, especially this season, hasn't really put together enough good games or a good enough game for me to say, okay, he can go out and dominate a game. Like, he can go out and dominate a half. I'll give him that. But dominating a game, like, he's got, I'm looking here. He's broken 40 twice over the last couple games. Houston and Boston. Washington. Like, I mean, you're sitting here thinking, like, good defensive teams. Okay, Boston, he put up a 42. Toronto, he put up a 23. Miami, he put up a 31. San Antonio, he put up a 30. I mean, Utah, he put up an 11. I mean, when this guy gets in good defensive matchups, more oftentimes than not, he doesn't pay off his salary. And I just don't know if I can do it. Yeah, can he get hot? Yes, but I'm gonna take the percentages on this one, and I know people are gonna call me Homer for this one.
Maybe. I don't like. I don't know, man. I haven't been on him all day either, so it's not just you.
Rondé Hollis Jefferson got to start last night. We're gonna have to watch and see exactly what goes on with that. He did really, really well last night. I've got him right now at starting in 26 minutes, and he's 4,400 against Chicago. I actually kind of like it, but if you're telling me that, you know, Kurex is gonna start, or who was out last night?
Trevion Graham.
Yeah, well, Trevion Graham's playing today, isn't he?
I think he's probable now.
Yeah, I thought I saw something earlier saying that he was playing. So if you're going to tell me that Trevion Graham is going to be active, then I'm probably going to be off of him. Bobby Portis at 57 against Brooklyn. I've got a little bit of interest in maybe. But
I mean, I got a lot of interest, but the thing about it is that it's a situation where I think they might actually go to Robin Lopez to start again. And I know a lot of people like Portis off the bench more. It's actually a little bit different this year. I like him more in the starting lineup this year. Because he actually hits the 30-minute mark, whereas off the bench he's like 25 to 28. I want to see the 33 from him, where he can, you know, get his 12, 15 rebounds, and hopefully his shot starts falling, and you can get yourself a 45 plus. You know, that's kind of where I'm looking now. But we'll have to wait and see. Is that one of the earlier games? Early-ish. So it's about 30 minutes after lock. So hopefully we'll get some information there on who's starting. But as of right now, all the sites that I've been looking at, they all have Portis starting. So we'll have to wait to see what we get.
Cool. All right, let's move on to centers here. Joel Embiid against the Lakers. Obviously, he's in play. The way the slate is currently constructed. Let me preface that. If Steven Adams is out, just go ahead and lock in Nerlens Noel.
And then if you want to get, you know, on some of the other sites, you can even go Noel and Vucevic and Embiid. I mean, they're all phenomenal plays, so you can do that too.
If Steven Adams is out, then Vooch becomes a really, really good play. Andre Drummond versus Milwaukee. We've been over this a couple times, but Brook pulls him out to the three-point line, limits his rebounding upside and everything, so I'm out. Jahlil Okafor. Congrats, Fanduel. You got it right, 7,200. You prepared for Randall possibly being out, and you've made it a decision. On DraftKings, he's not a decision. 6,100.
Easy play.
Yeah.
But on FanDuel, it's not.
Yeah.
You got to think. You got to think here.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, centers have been, really doing well versus Houston. But now you're talking about he's pretty much priced at his ceiling. Well, at least the ceiling that we've seen so far.
Yeah,
right?
You're talking like if you get a 30 from him, like you did against Oklahoma City, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So, any interest in Ante Zizic?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I'm kind of out on that. I do have. You ready for it?
Shit.
You ready for it?
Go ahead.
I have interest in Thomas Bryant tonight.
Whoa.
5,500 on FanDuel. The problem I have with Thomas Bryant is he can go off, but they like to play Ariza, Jeff Green, and Kelly Oubre, or not Kelly Oubre, Otto Porter at the 3, 4, and 5, or the 2, 3, and 4, and put Marcus Morris at the 5.
Yeah, well, Morris hasn't been playing for a while, but they play. Like, the problem with Brian is, man, he just doesn't get the minutes. That's the issue.
That's the thing.
And I'm with you that, like, I would rather play the GOAT versus Thomas Bryant.
Well, let's talk about Zubac here, because it's not like it's an easy matchup.
But look at what centers have been doing to Philly, man.
And I get that, but Philly also hasn't been at full strength. Like, I think the defensive capabilities for Joel Embiid are just like we talked about with the offense with Ben Simmons. When Jimmy Butler's on the court, I think he's better defensively because he doesn't have to help quite as much.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the numbers with Butler on and off the court, and I know it's not going to be a huge sample size, but like, I have interest in Zubac. Don't get me wrong. Because right now, honestly, those three, Zubac, Brook Lopez, and Thomas Bryant, all have caught my eye. But it's close. Like, Jimmy Butler being back with Joel Embiid on the court, if he plays now, because he's got a stomach virus. Thanks, City of LA. I don't know. There's definitely an interest level there.
Yeah.
Man, I'm really, really, really interested in just
No.
Why am I doing this to myself? Okay,
I don't know. What are you talking about?
I might take a chance on Nerlens Noel anyways.
I already am.
Okay, so just in case nobody understands or realizes this, Steven Adams has missed one game this season. This is the last point, then we'll get out, because I know we ran ultra long. If this would have been on SiriusXM, then our producers would be on our ear yelling us to pay the bills, which we didn't do today, by the way. Huh?
Cutting us off already.
Yeah. Which we didn't pay the bills today, by the way. But, oh well, we'll make up for it tomorrow. In 25 minutes, now granted it was versus Phoenix, but in 25 minutes, he scored 55 FanDuel points. Okay, he had 15 rebounds. And for those thinking that he had a ton of block shots for FanDuel, no, he only had one. Now, he did have 4 steals. He's very, very active, but he shot 9 for 14, which is a very high percentage. 2 or 3 from the 3-point line, but 15 total rebounds. He only had 2 assists. Like, the dude is so active. Like, it's unreal.
Yeah.
He becomes a lock. And with him and Stanley Johnson, I don't need to take a shot on Luke Kennard. I don't need to. Well, I mean, I guess you could, honestly, because you know that Nerlens, barring injury, isn't going to be your drop score candidate. So you can still go pin on a Luke Kennard and a Stanley Johnson and have those two compete,
Right.
For the drop score, and then load up everywhere else. So,
Yeah.
oh man, I think I might just end up taking a shot on Nerlens anyways, because if it's coming out that Steven Adams is questionable, you know it's something serious, because the dude he doesn't miss.
It's very true.
So, yeah. Anything else?
Not necessarily at the center spot. I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions about Pau Gasol, because he's probably going to end up starting again. No, I'm not playing Pau Gasol. Even when he starts, he doesn't get the minutes. And outside of that, we just really have to wait to hear about Adams. And my guess is he plays because he always plays, but I might still play Noel. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to take a stand there, and probably I won't unless Adams is out, I probably won't have him in a ton of lineups, but I will have some exposure for him. So.
Yeah.
All right. So tomorrow we're going to pay the bills. Sound good?
Sure.
Awesome. Today is a fantastic day, guys. There's 8 games tomorrow. We'll be on Thursday. We'll be on Friday. There's only 5 games on Friday, Bear. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I actually like the 5-game slates a lot.
Yeah, I do too. But everybody better buckle up for Saturday. There's 12 games on Saturday, so day before the Super Bowl. We'll be on the rest of the week.
I might make an appearance.
Yeah, we'll be on the rest of the week. So let's kill it, shall we?
Sounds good.
For myself, for the DFS Army, for Mr. Bear, we gone. Peace out.